Hello, Job 28 through 31. My name is Natasha. Let's grab our Bibles and get started. What a gift that we have this breath to read in. Surely there is a mine for silver, and a place where they refine gold. Iron is taken from the dust, and copper is smelted from rock. Man puts an end to darkness, and to the farthest limit he searches out the rock of gloom and deep shadow. He sinks a shaft from a habitation, forgotten by the foot. They hang a swing to and fro, far from men. The earth, and from it comes food, and underneath it is turned up as fire. Its rocks are a source of sapphire, and its dust contains gold. The path no bird of prey knows, nor has the falcon's eye caught sight of it. The proud beast has not trodden it, nor has the fierce lion passed over it. He puts his hand on the flint. He overturns the mountains at the base. He chews out channels through the rocks, and his eyes sees anything precious. His dam up the streams from flowing, and what is hidden he brings out to the light. But where can wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Man does not know its value, nor is it found in the land of the living. The deep says, "It is not in me," and the sea says, "It is not within me." Pure gold cannot be given in exchange for it, nor can silver be weighed as its price. It cannot be valued in the gold of Ophir, or precious oxide or sapphire. Gold or glass cannot equal it, nor can it be exchanged for articles of fine gold. Coral and silver are not to be mentioned, and the acquisition of wisdom is above that of pearls. The topaz of Ethiopia cannot equal it, nor can it be valued in pure gold. Where then does wisdom come from? And where is the place of understanding? Thus it is hidden from the eyes of all living, and concealed from the birds of the sky. Abandoned in death says, "With our eyes we have heard a report of it." God understands its way, and he knows its place. For he looks to the ends of the earth, and sees everything under the heavens. When he imparted weight to the wind, and melted out the waters by measure, and when he set a limit for the rain, and a course for the thunderbolt, then he saw it and declared it. He established it and also searched it out. And to man he said, "Behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom. And to depart from evil is understanding." 29. And Job again took up his discord and said, "Oh, that I were as in months gone by. Oh, that I were as in months gone by, as in the days when God watched over me, when his lamp shone over my head, and by his light I walked through darkness." This is so good. "As I was in the prime of my days, when the friendship of God was over my tent, when the Almighty was yet with me, and my children were around me, when my steps were bathed in butter, and the rock poured out for me streams of oil. When I went out to the gate of the city, when I took the seat in the square, the young men saw me and hid themselves, and the old men arose and stood. The prince stopped talking and put their hands on their mouths." Whoa. "And the voice of the nobles was hushed, and their tongues stuck to their palate. For when the ear heard, it called me blessed, and when the eye saw, it gave witness of me, because I delivered the poor who cried for help, and the orphan who had no helper. The blessing of the one ready to perish came upon me, and I made a widow's heart sing for joy. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My justice was like a robe and a turban. I was eyes to the blind and feet to the lame. I was a father to the needy, and I investigated the case which I did not know. I broke the jaws of the wicked. I snatched the prey from his teeth. Then I thought, I shall die in my nest. I shall multiply my days as the sand. My root is spread out on the waters. My dew lies all night on my branch. My glory is ever new within me, and my bow is renewed in my hand. To me they listened and waited. I kept silent for my counsel. After my words, they did not speak again, and my speech dropped on them. They waited for me as for the rain. I opened their mouths as for the spring rain. I smiled on them when I did not believe, and the light of the face they did not cast down. I chose a way for them and sat as chief. I dwelt as a king among the troops, as one who comforted the mourners. Chapter 30. But now those younger than me mock me, whose father I disdain to put with the dogs of my flock. Indeed, what good was the strength of their hand to me? Vigor has perished from them. From want and fame they are gaunt, who gnaw the dry ground by night and waste and desolation. Who pluck mallow by the bushes, and whose food is the root of the broom shrub. They are driven from the community. They shout against them as again the thief, so that they dwell in the dreadful valleys, in holes of the earth out of the rocks. Among the brushes they cry out. From under the nettles they are gathered together. Fools even, those without a name. They were scourged from the land. And now I have become their taunt. I have even become a byword to them. They abhor me, and they stand aloof from me. They do not refrain from spitting at my face, because he has loosened his bowstrings and afflicted me. They have cast off a bridle before me. On the right hand their broad arises. They vest aside my feet and build up against me their ways of destruction. They break up my paths, they profit from my destruction. No one restrains them. As through the wide breach they come, amidst the tempest they roll on. Terrors are turned against me, they pursue my honor as the wind, and my prosperity has passed away like a cloud. And now my soul poured out within me. Days of affliction have seized me. At night it pierced my bones within me, and the gnawing pains take no rest. By a great force my garment is disordered. It binds me about as the collar of my coat. He has cast me into the mire, and have become like dust and ashes. I cry out for you to help, but you do not answer me. I stand up, and you turn your attention against me. You have become cruel to me. With the might of your hand you persecute me. You lift up the wind and cause me to ride, and you dissolve me in the storm. For I know that you will bring me to death in the house of the meeting for all living. Yet does not one heap of ruin stretch out his hand, or in the disaster therefore cry out for help? Have I not wept for the ones whose life is hard? Was I not soul grieved by the needy? When I expected good, then came evil. When I waited for light, then came darkness. Can anybody relate here? I am seething within, cannot relax. Days of affliction confront me. I go about mourning without comfort. I stand up in the assembly and cry out for help. I have become a brother to jackals and a companion of ostriches. My skin turns black on me, and my bones burn with fever. Therefore my harp is turned into mourning, and my flute is the sound of those who weep. I just want to embrace him. Chapter 31. I have made a covenant with my eyes. How then could I gaze at aversion? I went, and what is the portion of God from above? On the heritage of Almighty from on high, it is not calamity in the unjust, and disaster to those who work iniquity. He does not see my ways and number all my steps. Does he not see my ways and number all my steps? Have I walked with falsehood, and my foot has hastened after deceit? Let him weigh me with accurate scale, and let God know my integrity. If my step has turned from the way, or my heart followed my eyes, or if any spot has struck to my hand, let me sow and another eat, and let my crops be uprooted. If my heart has been enticed by a woman, or I have lurked in my neighbor's doorway, may my wife grind for another, and let others kneel down over her, for that would be a lustful crime. Moreover, it would be an iniquity punishable by judges. For it would be a fire that consumed to abandon, and would uproot all my increase. If I have despised the calm of a male or female slave, when they filed a complaint against me, what then could I do when God arises? And when he calls me to account, what will I answer him? Did not he who made me in the womb make him and the same one fashion us in the womb? If I have kept the poor from the desire, or have caused the eyes of the widow to fall, or have eaten my morsel alone, or the orphan has not shared it, but from my youth he grew up with me as with a father, and from my infancy I guided her. If I have seen anyone perish for lack of clothing, or if the needy had no cover, if his loins had not thanked me, and if he has not been warmed with the fleece of my sheep, if I have lifted my hands against the orphan, because I saw I had support in the gate, let my shoulder fall from my socket, and the arm be broken off at my elbow. For the calamity of God is a terror to me, and because of his majesty I can do nothing. So sorrowful. If I had put a confidence in gold and called out fine gold in trust, if I had gloated because my wealth was great and because my hand had secured so much, or if I had looked at the sun when it was shone, or the moon going into splendor, and my heart became secretly enticed, and my hand threw a kiss from my mouth, that too would have been an iniquity calling for that judgment. I would have been denied above God. Have I rejoiced at the extinction of my enemies, or excluded when evil befell him? No, I have not allowed my mouth to sin by asking for his life in a curse. Have the men of my tent not said, who can find one who has not been satisfied with his meat? He's so confused. The alien has not lodged outside, for I have opened my doors to the traveler. Have I covered my transgressions like Adam, by hiding my iniquity in the bosom? Because I feared the great multitude, I contempted of the families terrified me, and kept silent and did not go out of the doors. Oh, that I had one to hear me. Behold, here is my signature. Let the Almighty answer me. And the indictment which my adversaries has written. Surely I would carry it on my shoulder. I would bind it myself like a crown. I would declare to him the number of my steps. Like a prince, I would approach him. If my land cries out against me, and if furrows weep together, if I have eaten its fruit without money, or if I have caused its owners to lose their lives, let briars go instead of wheat, and the sinking wheat instead of barley. The words of Job are ended. Friend, we know the rest of Job's story, and if you don't, stay tuned. But just know that sometimes it's not what you did, but it's what God needs to have happen. Be blessed today.
Hi, my friends, and welcome to Fear into Faith, Global Bible Revival, where we're on a mission to get 1 million people to read the Word of God cover to cover in a year. I'm your host, Summer Day, and with me in the studio is Natasha and Capri Schuerman. Welcome, ladies.
Hello, darling.
Hello, Capri, darling. Well, first question's obvious. How old are you?
8.
8 years old. We're not going to ask Mom how old she
Sounds
is.
good.
We won't do that. So excited to have you guys here. This is the first time we've done an interview with a mom and daughter. So first times are always exciting. And tell everybody where you guys are from.
Where are we from? Washington State.
Washington State. I heard that you like to talk in accents.
Yes, I do.
Oh, we're going to talk in some accents for this interview.
Yes, we are.
So you're from Washington State?
Yes.
Oh, where do you live right now?
Texas.
Texas.
We live in Fort Worth, Texas.
Fort Worth, Texas. Okay, but I know there's a great story that goes along with how did you get from Washington to Texas, Miss Capri?
Well, we were traveling for 3 years.
3 years.
For 3 years you've been traveling. Where'd you go?
How many states have we been to? 42.
42.
And
42
many of them,
states.
many times.
Okay,
Yes.
you guys went to 42 states in 3 years.
Mhm.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that, Natasha. How did that happen?
Yes, we were told to sell everything and follow him within 2 weeks. We didn't, but we gave everything away when we were told to and had to, because many things got ruined in our makeshift trailer that we opened months after we started traveling. And it was really, God was telling us to leave Washington and to keep traveling. As you know, the country was crazy in 2020.
Yeah, when did you guys leave?
October 2020.
October 2020.
Yes.
I know someone who left August 1st, 2020. Oh, wait, that was us.
Yes.
This is one of my favorite stories about meeting Natasha. I met you on a Zoom call from a Facebook challenge. We didn't know each other. And you told that story of God told you to sell everything and leave, and you left October 2020.
Yeah.
God told us to sell everything and leave, and we left August 2020.
Yes. And our goal was Tennessee, actually. But we got there. Yeah.
Stop it.
I know yours was too. We got there and it was brown. From Washington to Tennessee, everything was brown. It was winter. And we're like, this isn't home. This isn't it. But our actual goal was to get to Maine for 2 years, which I hear that was your goal too. I'm like,
did you
what?
ever get to Maine?
We never did. We were 10 minutes from Maine and we had to have an emergency. And so we sped down to Florida. We had
So we traveled in a 40-foot fifth wheel.
Yes.
A truck and a fifth wheel. What did you guys travel in?
little mini red.
Putt-putt.
A mini red putt. What is
Mini red van.
Yeah.
We call it our mini red putt-putt.
Yeah. So you guys are like extreme. You traveled in a minivan.
Yeah.
And then where would you stay?
We would rent Airbnbs. However, we didn't know where we were going to go. We had our set requirement, and then whenever it would pop up, that's when we would go. So I remember packing up, crying, God, are you going to show up again? Of course he's going to. It was 12 o'clock at night, and we found the Airbnb that we were going to leave at 8 o'clock the next day and get to, which was states away.
Oh, we should probably clarify a we. Who have you been traveling with, Capri?
Who do we travel with? Who's our caravan?
Who else
Daddy?
is in your family? Daddy and who else?
Her, of course.
Yeah, there's two more.
Roman and Oliver.
Roman and Oliver are who?
My younger brothers.
And how old are they?
6 and 3.
6 and 3, and you're 8, traveling for 3 years. You homeschool?
Yes. Well, we call it road school.
Road school.
At the time, I didn't know exactly how to homeschool. I wasn't planning to homeschool. And so we would just go to libraries. So we're members to over 25 libraries around the U.S.
Remember that 25 libraries.
And that's how we...
That could be a record. I don't know. You've got to look into that.
Yeah. All the records.
So fun. I love it. You guys have such a crazy story. Do you have a favorite place that you traveled to that you remember? Natasha, what about you?
Yeah, I think one of the most surprising places was up through New Hampshire and through what's by New York, Vermont, and with all the maple syrup. And I loved it because we didn't know it, but at the time we had booked, and it was the changing of the season colors. Wow. So going through all of that, it was like the goodbye of Washington, but hello, East Coast.
Yeah.
And that was such a gift because people would book and they were paying hundreds per hotels, and we had booked it weeks prior and we had no idea. So it was no different to us. So we were on the river next to all the fall colors with maple syrup, and the Airbnbs and hotels were just extravagant. There was like home cooked chefs, and
we never made it there.
Over the Smoky Mountains. Let's go together.
I love it. We didn't talk about how, so we left August, you left October, traveling for 3 years.
Yeah.
And we're both in Fort Worth now, which is crazy because when I met you, you thought I was a crazy woman. Because when I found out you guys were traveling, I kind of half joked and I said, your daughter's amazing. It'd be great. Maybe, maybe when the Lord lets us know and we're done traveling, we could end up living in the same town. We could live 5 minutes from each other. We could just raise our kids together.
And
now we live 5 minutes apart in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah.
And neither one of us even knew. I had already been here and felt like the Lord was calling us to be here. We thought we were going to end up in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I didn't know you guys thought that too.
Yeah.
And here I was. I came back to Fort Worth. You guys happened to be there. I thought you were just there for a month. I ended up at your house. And you're like, no, the Lord told us to stay. And I'm like, what do you mean? The Lord told me to stay. What are you talking about? Now we get to see you guys all the time.
And you have fun with the girls, don't you?
Yes.
We
Holy
love
Spirit, life is the best life. That's all I'm saying. Come on. All right. Let's ask another question. So we just had you be a reader. You got to read in the other room. You're by far the youngest. We had a 17-year-old. Now we got you 8 years old. Yeah. And I wanted to share why we picked you, right? You, as far as we know, are the youngest person so far to finish our Bible challenge. So you started when you were 7 years old. And you were like, Mom, I'm going to read this cover to cover. And I remember you told me, and I was like, well, that's so cute. Well, she'll last like 5 days. And I remember when you lasted 5 weeks, and I'm like, she's real serious about this. And then I heard a rumor that you were like, Mom, they're reading too slow. I'm like a month ahead. I can't keep up with their slow pace that we were doing of reading it cover to cover. Did you really finish the whole thing?
Yep.
Genesis to Revelation, the whole thing.
Yep.
Amazing. 8 years old, read the entire Bible, and I heard you're doing this year as well. You started over again. You're in your year 2. Come on. Okay. Do you have a favorite book in the Bible?
Well, I like Esther, and I also like Ruth.
Yeah. Why do you like Esther?
Well, because she listened to God,
She listened to God. Yeah.
and it has a lot of fun voices that I can do.
But I have all the fun voices. Okay. I have a really important question for you. Do you think other kids should read the Bible?
Absolutely, definitely, positive.
That's a great answer. Why? Why do you think they should read the Bible?
Because it teaches you a lot about God, and
Why is that
It's fun.
important? It's fun? Reading the Bible is fun. Why do you think learning about God's important?
because he can protect you. He will protect you, and learning about him is interesting.
Learning about him is interesting.
Yeah.
Are there any parts of the Bible you didn't like?
All the parts about sacrificing, killing animals with your own hands,
It's about sacrificing and killing animals with your own hands.
and killing people with swords.
And killing people with swords. I kind of don't like those parts either. All right, I'm going to pause you guys really quick. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back right after this. I agree with you. I don't like those parts. Welcome back, my friend. We're in the studio with Natasha and Capri. Capri is 8 years old, and we're sitting here talking about, was there a part of the Bible you didn't like? And what was your answer?
All the parts about killing animals with your own hands.
Yeah.
And killing people with swords and just like leaving them to die in a room.
Yeah. There's definitely some parts in the Bible that I'm like, that's more intense than any movie I've ever seen, any book I've ever read. And yeah, I was wondering, like, she's 8 years old, she's reading some of this.
Yeah.
Were you like, that's a little advanced of a topic there for my 8-year-old. Was there ever a time when there was concern about that? or-
Absolutely. And I would bring that to my husband, and he's an amazing head of our house. And he said, God, would you just protect her mind and let her only hear what she's supposed to hear? And so when we were reading about certain words of promiscuity and stuff like that, she wouldn't even hear it. She just said, oh, this is Moses's mom's name. Like, she was just, it was the cute innocence of the ways that I wasn't ready to conversate with that yet. But when it did come up, I knew inside, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're actually talking about this. This is happening right now. I never got talked about this. But I knew my external experience with her was calm and peace, even though inside I was like, I don't know what I'm saying and how I'm doing this. And it was almost as if God was just speaking through me.
Yeah.
And it was good. And then we moved on.
Amen.
Yeah.
So good. Well, I agree with you. I don't like those parts. And I always tell people, you want drama, you want excitement, you want the Gladiator. That movie ain't got nothing on the actual Bible. As crazy as things that you see there, the Bible's got way more crazy stuff. Okay, what's your favorite kind of parts to read? I know you like Esther, but what other favorite parts? You like reading about, Jesus walking on water or any of that stuff?
Yeah, I like to read like well-known stories like from the Bible. Like Esther's story, of course.
Yeah. Tell me your favorite story about Jesus. What do you like?
Well, I like the story where Jesus heals a woman that's like sick, and then
The one where she touches his robe?
and then when he heals the dead girl.
The little girl? Yeah, and she comes back to life?
Yeah,
Why do you like that part?
because it shows his power.
Yeah.
It shows his power. Yeah, so good. What would you say, Natasha, to parents? Because I feel like there's got to be a mom watching this, and she's like, how did you get your kid to read the Bible? How'd you steward a 7-year-old's heart to want to be in the Word? What would you say to that mom?
It's still surreal because I didn't grow up with it at all. None of it. And so when I desired to do it because I was asked to by you. I'm like, that sounds great. Let's do it with many people.
Yeah.
She did it because I did it. And that was really it. So we would set aside the time. Set aside the time at nighttime right before bed when we can't think. And we would read together. And that was what kept us on track.
Did you guys read the whole thing out loud together?
No.
Okay.
No,
In our
because
heads.
I was too slow for her to read. Like every
Your
time.
mom was too slow. You're
Yeah,
reading the
and
Bible
I love
faster
it
than Mom.
because she can read just really fast in her mind. And so she would be chapters ahead, and I'm just not finishing the first chapter.
Wow.
Which was such a gift, though, because I didn't know, I couldn't read well when I was younger. And so it was surreal to be in there because giving her the gift of passionate reading and knowing what do I need to do to get her to just love it and for her to love the Bible is a gift. So I would just say they copy you.
Yeah.
And that's really...
Amen. Do you want to get your kid to read the Bible, read it yourself if they want to know what you're doing?
And we did, so when we were younger, we did this Bible study fellowship, and they would pray over the kids at babies, infants, and I didn't know how to be a mom. I didn't ever know what I was going to do. And so at the place, they would teach them this is God's holy word. So I remember she was 9. Can I share this?
Yeah.
She was 9 months old, and she would have mac and cheese in her hand for dinner. And she would go, this is the Holy Bible. Do you want to touch it? So
With your mac and cheese? Oh, wow.
So it wasn't only me, it was the community we were around. Also facilitated the passion and love and honor of the Bible and the Word. Yeah.
And do you read other books too?
Yes.
The Bible's like the biggest, hardest book in the whole world to read. Do you read anything harder than that, or everything else seems pretty easy compared to the Bible?
Well, I guess the Bible's kind of equal to all other books.
God
I read.
equal? What's your other favorite book to read?
Karen Kingsbury and her son Tyler Russell. They have this chapter book series called the Baxter Children.
Baxter Family. Yeah, a children's series. But
There's a grown-up one and then a kid one.
Okay. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but how many books have you read? If you had to guess. Like 5? 6?
Definitely not.
Definitely not 5 or 6.
I would probably read, if I read 5 or 6, I'd probably read one.
You read like 5 or 6 in a day, right?
Yes.
Okay.
If they're like little.
Yeah.
Sometimes I finish like a book that thick about 1 or 2 days.
Yeah, 1 or 2
depending on
days
how-
to just finish a full chapter.
Depending on how big it is and how much I want to like read that story.
Yeah. No, she's homeschooled, so I don't know if you've ever tested to see what her reading level is.
she's beyond high school.
Yeah, I was like, you're a college reading level.
Yeah.
Except I do not read college books because they have
Because they're boring,
stuff
right?
that, yes, and they have stuff that I don't need to learn right now.
You don't need to. You're well read and smart and wise.
So I just make up for reading those books. I make up, instead of reading those books, I just read a bunch of other books.
Have you always loved to read?
Yes.
And why?
Because I like.
Because I like it. How did you get her to be such an avid reader? I mean, she's almost like you're like an 8-year-old savant reader, if that's a term. How'd you get her so interested in books?
When she was months old, I would stroller run to the library because I just learned how to run and I knew I wanted to be healthy and feel good. So we would get 100 books because that's all they would let you check out every single week. And so we would exchange those. And so at first she did not have toys.
You can check out the rest of this interview right here or by going to BibleRevival.tv. And if this show has blessed you, you can help us bless others by partnering with us for as little as $20 a month and help us to expand the reach of this show. We'd also like to invite you to join our Kingdom Discipleship Program, where you have an opportunity to get on weekly Bible Zoom calls with us and people around the world to deep dive into His Word. And you can check all that out at BibleRevival.tv. I'll see you next time, my friend.